thanks to Mark Cucurella and his ice skates, blaming the boot man as well. I actually thought that was disgraceful from him, by the way. To have the wrong boots on, sort of giving it all, looking around, arms up, this, that and the other, it's your fault. To then change studs for studs as well. I don't know if you noticed that.
Yeah, I did, yeah.
I don't know what...
Excuse.
Absolutely, absolute cop-out.
To throw the kit man under the bus.
Exactly. Ridiculous. But the biggest talking points, of course, is your team, Darren. Yeah. Was anyone confident that you could hold on to that lead 2-0?
No, honestly, I wasn't.
What was your feelings at 2-0?
However, let's talk about that game quickly.
Yes.
We went 2-0 up, didn't really create much. It was down to their mistakes. Son, in the game, missed 2 1-on-1s. One he could have squared to Werner, and he scored. The one that he did miss, that's bread and butter for Son. Van der Ven missed a free header. Dominic Solanke missed a sitter. Yeah. Sarr missed a header, hit the crossbar. You cannot legislate as a manager what Bissouma and Sarr done in those challenges. You're 2-1 up. The ball's potentially going off for a goal kick, and Bissouma cleans out Caicedo, who, by the way, shouldn't have been on the pitch. We'll agree on that. And people will question, but Kulusevski shouldn't be on the pitch as well. And I agree with that. I'd agree with that. I don't think it would have got to that. I think we'd have started controlling the game if they were down to 10, and it wouldn't have needed to happen in that way. So that wouldn't have happened. And then Sarr, the boy's running away from the goal. It's going off for a throw-in, and he's just shoved him in the back. And that's pure frustration. So that there is not Ange Postecoglou's fault. People are blaming Ange for this. That's not his fault. They can say, but you pick the players. You can only pick what he's got. And Bissouma and Sarr, last season, when they've played, they've been fantastic. So they're the best players to play in that position. So I am Ange in at the moment. But it's getting 60-40 in favour of Ange still. And I only say that because his stubbornness. I think the stubbornness. You look after 50 Premier League wins, he's up there with Arteta, Jurgen Klopp. I think Pep Guardiola's got more wins, but he's lost more than those in those 15 games as well. He's lose. So we spoke about this earlier. It's all or nothing. Yeah. It's win or lose. There's hardly
and there needs to be an in between, doesn't there?
When
you're not quite at it, when you're not quite at the races, and you need to come up with different answers to the questions. You have to tweak things a little bit. And I think the biggest eye-opener for me as a neutral, when all the Ange loving was going on last year, because he was refreshing, he was bright, he was exciting, and he come with new ideas. That game against Chelsea, when you went down to 9 men, and the line was at the halfway line, with 9 men, and at the end of the game, he said, "We'll play the same way with 5," or something like that. That shows you everything you need to know about Ange Postecoglou. I mean, Romero and Van der Ven both started the game. They came off injured. How much of their success is built on them being fit?
Almost all of it. We look at Arsenal. Was it a couple of seasons ago they lost Saliba?
And then had to put in Rob Holding.
Their season derailed a little bit. You look when Van Dijk was out for Liverpool, their season derailed to a certain extent.
Odegaard being out for Arsenal this season.
Odegaard, when you lose your important players, I mean, this is 2 players, Van der Ven and Romero, and potentially, don't know the extent of Van der Ven, but I know Romero's missing now, so potentially miss them again. And I talk about the stadium and the legacy that Daniel Levy's left behind, which is the stadium, the training ground, the infrastructure. If you can't get a product of the academy in centre half to come through, then it's not working at the moment. That is adequate enough to play instead of those 2. Now, I think he would have bought himself a bit of backing off the support if he didn't play those. Look, we don't know what the medical staff are saying. We don't know what the players... I know what the players themselves are saying. They're saying, I want to play in a game of this magnitude. But there comes a point where you take leadership and ownership of the situation if you're Ange and say, you 2 are not playing, not both of you, because we can't afford to lose you for the Christmas period. And, if there's any game, Chelsea are flying high, not throw it, absolutely not, but let's play other players. Let's try and compete against them because we need you for the upcoming games, the League Cup against your boys, and the Rangers on Thursday, Southampton away. We need our best players fit for those.
And now
it's looking like they're not.
Well, let's hear from Big Ange now, because he says that there would have been no point in changing the team style without Romero.
Not really sure what the alternative is. It was good enough to get us ahead in the game, so I'm not sure why we should change our approach. Obviously, as I said, it was a game of big moments. If we score a 2-2, and go 3-2 ahead, then the pressure's on them. They've got to open up like we did when we conceded. But like I said, disappointing that we kind of let them get the advantage in sort of a way that was self-inflicted.
I mean, do you agree with what he's saying there? He's saying, look, that style of play with Romero there was good enough to get us 2-0 up, so why change when he's not on the pitch? Or do you think, well, no, a different player, different skill set, different moment, different emotions in the game, different period of the game. It's exactly why you have to change something.
Yeah, this is a little bit that irritates me about Ange Postecoglou. As much as I am Ange, the in-game management isn't quite happening just now because of that. I think another player comes on that isn't Romero, you do change. I think that there needs to be an element of leadership on the pitch as well to say, no, we're 2-0 up. Let's defend this lead till half-time. As soon as Jadon Sancho scored the first one for Chelsea, everyone knew what was going to happen. Everyone knew Chelsea was going to dominate the game, dominate possession, get the chances. Didn't expect Basuma and Sarr to make those horrendous challenges, stupid challenges that they did. But look, I go back to Ange, and a friend of mine, Kieran, I speak to him a lot, huge Celtic supporter, always says, even now, I spoke to him after the game, stick with him. The good times will come with him. You look at the first 9 games, 23 points, more than anyone in the Premier League in their first 9 games. That's not a fluke.
Since, though.
It's not a fluke.
But isn't that not just a new manager bounce?
No. You can have a certain 1 or 2 free games. No, look.
When you start playing the more difficult
you talk at easy
teams.
fixture lists, Crystal Palace, Ipswich, first wins, they're easy. We lost them. So you only beat what's in front of you, whether it's easy or perceived to be easy.
What about the freshness of him though, Darren, in terms of that version of Spurs? Well, it's still the same version. It was new to the league. People didn't know how to work them out. People didn't know how to play against them. Is there not an argument now that actually Ange has been sussed out, and actually if you want to play against Spurs or hurt Spurs, it's very, very how to identify how. Yeah,
that's the element, the stubbornness that I was talking about. And he does need to adapt a little bit more. And that going forward in the next 2, 3, 4 months, he'll get to the end of the season for sure, for me. I mean,
he'll get to the end of the season.
I'm saying that. I think he will. But look, if you go and lose to Rangers, at Rangers, look, he's going to get a lot of stick. We know that. That's not
going to be easy,
then
that game.
Do you put your money on them going to Southampton Sunday and getting a result? Probably not. And if you then go out of the League Cup, Daniel Levy, the powers that be, could be forced to make a decision, but otherwise we see Spurs not similar to Lopetegui, but he pulls out results. Like he battered Villa, battered Man City, pulls out results when he needs to. And these are not flukes, these are potential. It's just changing the gung-ho approach that Spurs have.
He says I'm not going to do that.
Well, to be honest, we talk about the Chelsea game last year that did derail Spurs' season. They could have easily equalised in the last couple of minutes, playing that way.
Yeah.
This is the way, and this is, look, Spurs, we shouldn't be an entitled fan base. We shouldn't be. 1 League Cup in 20 years is not good enough. Let's face it, that's not good enough. We should be winning more things, but we're not an entitled fan base. This style that Ange Postecoglou brought to the football club is why everyone loved him to start with. So we can't go back on it and say, well, we don't like this anymore.
No, that's fair. But then what about this situation with him coming to blows with the fans then as well? Because there was, first of all, there was the Arsenal situation about that City game. And he's going, I'm trying to raise the standards at this football club. I just want to win games.
Yeah.
I didn't realise that the fans are more interested in basically stopping Arsenal win the league. But the fans are saying, they're our biggest rivals. Yeah. You need to understand that. So he goes, I
supported Man City.
Yeah, there you go. That's what I'm saying. So as a fan, you're like, but then he's like, I don't want to I have a loser's mentality. Then, of course, what happened at Bournemouth, he's saying, I'll take the flak for that, etc., etc. And a lot of fans, though, who have been on to Ange or maybe even haven't, I've seen them sort of talk about the board. And actually, what did you make of Christian Romero taking a swipe at the board? Because some fans are suggesting that you could sack Ange today. Great. Bring in Graham Potter. Bring in, Thomas Frank. Whoever it may be, the shiny new toy. But it will be the same situation, the same 18-year-olds, the same players who are not quite good enough, the same lack of investment. That's always been. So is it more of a board-level problem?
Yes. Again, I do feel the stadium's fantastic, one of the best in the world, if not the best. The training ground is fantastic. You have to start winning things now. You have the infrastructure. You have the supporters now want to win things. It's all well and good saying, "Oh, your stadium's brilliant. You can pour a beer from the bottom upwards." You've got an empty trophy cabinet though, so it's brave what Romero's done. If we just quickly touch on the Ange Postecoglou situation, I think the Man City Spurs game where everyone was supporting Man City because Arsenal that's a supporters stance, and I was pleased at that point that Ange was fighting back, because you don't want your manager coming out saying, "Yeah, I wanted to lose that one." Like, although he may even thought that himself, but you don't want him coming out, because there's an element of, no, you got to be our winner. Supporters can have that rivalry, but you have to be a winner. Yes, he probably handled that wrongly. With the Bournemouth one, you're getting sacked in the morning, you can deal with that. But by all accounts, it was very personal towards him. Insults.
And he doesn't...
It's a human being.
Yeah, exactly.
You can fight back. And I have no issue with that whatsoever. If it continues and they're calling him out and he continues to fight back aggressively, yeah, he's going to lose a certain element of fan base. But I don't mind what I'm seeing from him in terms of that fighting spirit. In terms of the Romero situation, you normally see when a manager is coming to the end, you see leaks of this player's not happy, that player's not happy. They're publicly backing Ange Postecoglou. So there's nothing wrong in the dressing room. There's nothing wrong in terms of players going to their agent. Even the ones that's not playing, you don't see them going to their agents or little leaks coming out. So you don't think
it's a case of they're not buying into his methods?
Absolutely.
And they think this guy's a bit clueless, what we're doing here?
I think they've bought into his methods. But I do think the leadership group, the senior pros, perhaps need to sit down with the manager and discuss it. I've been there.
Yeah.
You discuss, look, when we do go 2-0 up or this, let's sit back. I don't think he's going to just disregard it. I do think he's caught in his ways, and that needs to change if he's going to be successful at the club. But it's still in the League Cup quarter-final. It's a big game against your lot. We're still in the Europa League. It's
FA Cup.
It's still a big season. We're not a million miles away from challenging for Europe still.
Yeah, because the league's dodgy, yeah.
It looks bad. It's negative because we've lost a few on the bounce or we're on a bad run. But there's still positive times to come. And I believe it's going to be with Ange Postecoglou.
Okay, well, time will tell whether Big Ange stays or if he goes.
On AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.